Hey everybody, how you guys doing? So I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Unfortunately, the system is down and we will not be having any visual aids at this meeting. So just letting you guys know that, and that's why the screens are off. Secretary Tor, can you please take roll?
Senator Abdul. Senator Atlan. President Bradford.
President Bradford, present.
Director Billings. Senator Bing. Senator Coakley.
Senator for the College of Engineering and Technology, present.
Senator Dixon. Senate Leader Ganama. Senator Gordon. Senator Hardy. Treasurer Har.
Treasurer Har, present.
Senator Igbeer. Senator Johnson. Senator Jones.
Senator for American Minorities, present.
Director Lopez.
Director of Academic Affairs, present.
Senator Martin.
Senator of Wellstar College, present.
Senator Mobley.
Senator for Athletic Students, present.
Senator Mons.
Senator for Non-Traditional Students, present.
Senator Olufemi. Senator Rhodes.
Senator for the College of Arts, present.
Senator Robinson.
Senator of Fraternity and Sorority Life, present.
Director Snell.
Director for Procedure Operations, present.
Senator Solis. Senator Trantham.
Senator for the Bagwell College of Education, present.
Senator Vance.
Senator for Registered Student Organizations, present.
Vice President Veeder.
Vice President Veeder, present.
Director Watkins.
Director of Communications, present.
Senator Whitaker. Director Whitmire.
Director of Internal Affairs, present.
Senator Wright.
All right, so is there a motion on the floor to approve the 71st meeting minutes? Motion by Director Whitmire. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Coakley. All in favor? All opposed? Any extensions? This does pass. All right, so we're gonna go on to officer reports. We have Christina Duracher from the Director, she's the Director of General Education and Curriculum Development.
Everyone, please check the business chat because the projectors are down. I just sent y'all the presentation, so refer to that as she speaks, please.
Um,
Thank you. All right. So good evening. My name is Krista Rocher, and as you heard, I'm the Faculty Director of Gen Ed and Curriculum Development. And the USG, our University System of Georgia, decided about a year ago that it was going to redesign general education. General education hadn't been redesigned in the state of Georgia since 1996. It's before some of you may have been born, but don't tell me that because I don't want to believe that I'm that old. And so they started over the summer and had a bunch of committees, and then they had a committee in the winter where I was on, and in February 11th, they released a first draft of the model. I'm going to share that with you because that draft is open for feedback. And so we are actively getting feedback from staff and faculty, but we also want to make sure that we are getting feedback from students as well. This is a draft model, and it's not slated for implementation until at least fall of 2022. And so I'm just going to briefly talk about why there's some reasons for a need for a redesigned model. Some of you may know Our general education is 60 credit hours. That's half of a traditional undergraduate degree. And we have this lovely model of A, B, C, D, E, F, right? And so the USG is committed to 60 transferable hours across the system, meaning you can go to any USG institution, take 60 hours, and it's supposed to be honored. But as some of you who maybe transfer students yourself know, that system doesn't really necessarily work that well. We have a lot of issues with transferability and students having to retake items in the core, kind of cycling around. And so we know students are accumulating too many credit hours in gen ed, not just at KSU, but across the system. We also don't have, side here, sorry. We also don't have, hang on, a lot of consistency across the USG. Even though those hours are heavily regulated, every institution has a lot of flexibility, and the USG wasn't able to go to the legislature and say every student who goes to a USG institution will have all of these things. So for example, at Kennesaw State, we require everyone to take economics and world history. But that is not the same, and there are other institutions that do not have their students take that, right? And they take other things. So there wasn't a lot of consistency. And then, as you guys may know, there's not a lot of cohesion or connection between what's happening in gen ed and all of your future majors and careers. So when you take something in A2, it's hard to understand what that means or where you're going or any of that. And that's something we were concerned about at KSU, and the USG was concerned about as well. So they have put together this new model that I'm glad I want to talk about, because the model we have is 60 credit hours and a bunch of boxes. And if you look at this model, it looks like it is also 60 credit hours and a bunch of boxes. But it's actually quite different in ideology. And I think that's what's really important. The model we have right now, as I mentioned, is kind of a plug-and-play model, where anywhere you can go, you can get essentially the same experience. But that's a little problematic in the USG, where we have open access institutions, and we have R1 research institutions, and we have Kennesaw State. They're all serving different student populations, but they're all being required to do the same thing. And we're finding that that's not very successful. So this model, if you look in the black box, is being proposed as having 8 areas that students have to have coursework in that would be the same for everybody across the USG. So this is a consolidation of the 42 hours we have now down to 24. So everyone would have to take 1 course in arts or humanities, 1 course in mathematics and quantitative reasoning, 1 course in science, 1 course in history or government, 1 course in written communication, 1 in oral, 1 in data or digital literacy, and 1 in social sciences. And this is going to affect people across the USG system differently. So at Kennesaw, we have a curriculum that requires some of these things differently. So we currently require, for example, students take an arts course and a humanities course, but not everybody does. So that will be a bigger change for us than it may be across the system. We also require a history and a government. Other institutions required a history or a government. So there will be some things. We also currently require 2 math, and we're one of the few institutions that do that. That was not a USG requirement. That was a KSU requirement that we added on top. So this is going to be a significant change, and these are designed to make sure that there is consistency. They are still being figured out a little bit. So what does data digital fluency mean? We're still working on that. So this is one of those things when we talk about opportunities for feedback. The question for you guys is, what do you feel like you're having to do in your majors, or skills that you need to have when you go out to the workforce that you don't feel like you're getting in gen ed? Or what are things you feel like you need exposure to that you're not getting? Those are some of the questions that I'm asking the faculty, but of course you guys are the ones in the classroom as well who are doing that. This consolidated model is very different than the breadth model that we have now. So right now we have 60 hours of 1,000 and 2,000 level coursework. You spend half of your undergraduate career doing what I like to call the eat the vegetables model, where you have to eat all your vegetables and all of these 60 credit hours before you get to go into your major courses. This model is reducing that down to 24 and offering us 18 credit hours at KSU that we get to have some flexibility and control over. So even though this looks like there's more boxes, which there is, these boxes, in particular the 9 institutional options, are the ones that are actually really exciting for us, because we never had any ability to change what the core was. It had to be the same as everybody else's. But these institutional options are designed for KSU to create a space to do what we feel is important for our students, to create a signature experience that's unique to KSU. To tell students that when you come here, this is what you're going to get that's special, that you can't get anywhere else. And that's really a big change. for the USG from the model that we currently have. And that is something that's going to require us as an institution to have some thought about what does every KSU student need and what is special about what we do here that we want to be able to communicate both to prospective students, the students that are currently here, and to future employers. And this is a national model that we're moving, that we see happening all across the United States, that's very successful, that's allowing some exploration of depth, doing problem solving, hands-on activities, experiential learning, these types of things in the gen ed are shown to set students up to be much more prepared when they go into their majors and then give them lifelong skills, right, when they go out. So it's much more focused on skills than knowledge, right, applying the things that you're learning in those areas. The other blue boxes underneath it are the exploratory courses, which are designed to help students with progression and to have some freedom in the gen ed. So we have a couple of pressures on us as an institution and across the system, which is that we want to make sure students are graduating in a timely manner. We want students to graduate in the scope and time and the credit hours of their programs. However, some of those programs are very rigid and don't have a lot of flexibility. And sometimes students, I think the average student here changes their major at least 3 times. And because it's a 60-hour gen ed, sometimes those students are really far into their career before they get into their major courses enough that they recognize, maybe this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And so the idea of this exploratory courses is to give students some flexibility and some space in the core to explore what they want to do, or if they're very sure that they want to do something, to explore minors, or to do something that they're passionate about. Learn another language, continue playing an instrument, take some art courses, to have some flexibility and freedom. But it's also designed, particularly for courses and programs that are heavily scaffolded, where you start taking program courses very early, that if you decide you want to switch your major, you haven't lost progression, that those courses can go into those exploratory and you can go into another major without significant credit hour loss. So I think that this model has been designed to be very student-centered, and to kind of think about students' experiences and what's best for the students. The last little box down here is what I call the area formerly known as Area F. And they are adding, if you notice, there was only one English course in our little black box of requirements, and they want to add a second writing course in the discipline, so that you're not just getting everything thrown at you as a freshman and then we kind of say, oh, yeah, great, you've learned everything you need to know, but you're getting a scaffolded experience where you're learning writing in the gen ed core, and then you're learning writing as it pertains to your field. So if you're a scientist, you're learning how to write to a scientific audience, or you're learning how to write for a technical audience, or you're learning to write for the humanities, so that you're learning the specific skills that you need in your major so that you are better prepared to go into it. All of this still has to be completely transferable. So that means that if you are a student at another institution and you fulfilled your institutional options there, we have to accept those. And if you go somewhere else and you've already filled them, they have to accept those as well. The idea is those options were appropriate for the student when they took those courses at the time. So if you transferred in, we have to honor them. And that was kind of the system that's not quite working as well as we'd like right now, because institutions aren't always honoring things that are happening. It's because they say, well, that's not equivalent to what we have. USG's breaking that and saying, no, you have to take it. If they've completed it, and that is that. So the next slide that looks like a bunch of different colored Band-Aids. There's one even more exciting than that, is to also think about embedding consistent experiences in those 8 courses that everybody's going to take, so that you're not just learning something in one place and then not having it reinforced in other places. So there are 3. One is Critical Thinking Plus, and on the next slide I'll go into that a little bit more in detail. One is Global Competencies, and one is Information Literacy Plus. And these are the things that the USG has, through a series of feedbacks, decided has been something that all students need to encounter to be prepared citizens for a global world. So if you go to the next slide, these are all currently defined this way. They're not finalized. If you have strong or even mild feelings about this, you can give feedback on this, which is that every course in the core should do some form of critical thinking, right? Synthesis, research, creative problem solving. Don't think we have any problems with that. I think we're already really doing that. 4 courses will encounter global competencies, right? Those courses should encourage students to think about culture, diversity, global perspectives, perhaps some ethical reasoning, although there's been some strong arguments that needs to be its own competency and not embedded in others, and kind of issues around citizenship. And the current courses that are defined that way are right above it. And then the last one is Information Literacy Plus, which is kind of looking at data, basically, right? And being able to think about it in a really kind of thoughtful way, looking at information and technology and data in specific ways. The other thing that the USG wants to do is offer some ways to put additional meaning on these core courses so that you are encountering the same themes that are relevant to you, that you understand why you're taking these courses, and that you don't just take a course in box C2, right, and then throw it into kind of a mental black hole and think, well, I've checked that box and now I'll never use that ever again, and now I'm moving forward with my life. But to understand everything you take has relevance. So they're looking at creating or having institutions create thematic journeys, themes that students encounter in these courses. Things like sustainability is usually one, ways of thinking, entrepreneurship. These are all examples at other institutions where you encounter that in every single course you take. You're asked to make a connection to your theme. So as a literature course, you've just read this book. How does this connect to your theme of sustainability? How does this chemistry lab connect to your theme? So that you are recognizing that this has some connection to things in your life, even if it's not something necessarily directly connected to your major. So again, that kind of reason for the change, one of the reasons we're changing the gen ed in the USG system is that we recognize that this kind of coherence and consistency was, as you might all probably readily agree, kind of lacking in the model that we have now. Everything seems very siloed and very divorced. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is how we're gathering feedback for this. So none of this is finalized. There's still ongoing conversations, and every week we're hearing more and more as I ask questions and send things downtown to the USG. The USG has a form that you can go that's linked in this PowerPoint and give feedback on this design as I've explained it to you. The USG does require that you put in your name and affiliation and institution, and we are encouraging people to go and give feedback directly to the USG. But we also want to make sure that we're using our voice as an institution and that we're gathering information at KSU about what people think, and so we also have an anonymous KSU form that we're sharing. And the form asks 4 questions, which are what do you think are the positives or the opportunities in this model? What are any concerns that you have about this model? What ideas do you think we should have for institutional options? And that's one I definitely want to hear from you guys about. And then what are any questions that you have? And so I encourage, if you go to the USG, also submit feedback to us so that we are kind of working in tandem and our messaging is the same as it's coming from the institution to the USG as it is coming from individuals. And I have to say, we're a big institution, and the feedback results on these are usually a couple of hundred across 26 institutions. So, you know, this is a chance for us to really have our voice heard. I think this model is really exciting and offers a lot of opportunity, but we want to make sure that we're communicating to the USG. These are the things we like about it. We want to make sure you preserve, and these are the things that we might have concerns about. So I think that is about it for me. Do we have time for some questions? If anyone has any questions. I know I just threw a ton of information at you all. So, yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Senator Rhodes for the College of Arts. I actually did have a question since I did transfer here. What or how will this implementation affect already transfer students with transfer credit issues?
So one of the issues that we have with transfer students right now is we transfer on a big block basis. You have to complete everything inside of a box. So example is if you want to transfer in Area E, you have to have completed all of Area E in order for it to count. If you haven't completed all of Area E and you transfer, then they say, well, you haven't completed it, you have to go and take it all at the institution you've transferred to. What this model does, each of those boxes is a one-to-one transfer. So it will be much easier because we'll be able to take whatever they took and put it in one-to-one and not have to say, oh, you didn't complete this whole big box, so therefore you have to go back in and do that. So I mean, I'm sure that I've heard stories as I've talked to students and to advisors about how this is just a real problem for students who are coming in where there are things that don't count because they don't match or they don't align. So one of the things that this model is trying to do is create a one-to-one. Whatever math you took somewhere else goes in the math box. Whatever social science you took goes in the social science. And these boxes and having these outcomes, they're going to be a little more closely mandated too. So before, institutions kind of had a lot of freedom to determine what went in those boxes. They're going to be a little bit more rigid now, so that there is some consistency across the system of what counts, and it's all clear to everybody what goes where. So when they made the changes about 20 years ago, not all institutions had to follow the rules. They had grandfather clauses or things like that. So there was a lot of inequity in the way that transfers were handled in the system. And so one of the things is to kind of break all the old rules and implement new ones clean with this new model and make everybody follow them. So that will be really beneficial to our transfer students.
Senator for American Minorities, has there been any conversation about, for the institutional options, bringing back the requirement of freshman seminars, so KSU 1001?
So there hasn't been many conversations yet. We have a task force that's in place that's going to be looking at the data that we have. I know that some institutions are looking at that. The question is that something that we want to put as an institutional options, or is that something that's more exploratory? We want to make that there, but I think there's definitely space for us to do that. There's a lot of institutions that I think are using that model very successfully, but traditionally at R1s and R2s you tend to find that less. But I think it will definitely be a consideration going forward. So do you have strong feelings for it or against it? I'm just curious.
I don't necessarily have strong feelings, but I do feel like with the taking away of it, a lot of students have had a lot more trouble navigating through D2L and things like that, whereas making that an institutional option, because those are, you have to take the options that are given, right?
We can't mandate anyone take anything specific in there, but we can offer it as a choice.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I do think that there is those thematic journeys that we're talking about, that the first year seminar is ideal for that, because we have themed seminars, right, and allow students to have some exploration in there. So, so we're in the very early conversation. That's why I was asking that follow-up question. So we're very, very early in this process. So just trying to get as much feedback as we can.
Director of Communications. So you spoke to how important it is to get a lot of feedback from students and how there hasn't historically been a lot of engagement. So we all have heard you present and have the presentation and have the link. So how do you want us to go about disseminating that information to our constituents?
So what I would really appreciate is if they get the links, and I can send you the links separately in an email if that's easier to disseminate, but the two links to the USG feedback and then to the KSU feedback are the best way. And then you can always email jenna@ksu.edu, kennesaw.edu, if you don't care about being anonymous. So, yeah.
In regard to like the information presented in the, like, is that information attached, like when you click on the links, it's also provided there?
I don't think it is at the KSU. If you go to the USG forum, you can go to just search Google USG Gen Ed, and there's actually a presentation that Dr. Denley gave that's 20 minutes, and those are his slides that I'm using today. So if you want to, if someone wasn't able to see this presentation, you can go and watch his presentation. It's about 20 minutes where he walks through all of the aspects of it, and then that will also take you to the forum.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Director Lopez, hi, my name is JJ, and I actually am our Director of Academic Affairs. So this is literally what I do. So I'd love to sit down and talk to you and figure out how you could use me as an asset and how I could assist in this process.
Oh, absolutely, and that reminds me. So the Gen Ed Council actually has a non-voting student representative slot. So definitely next year. It probably is a little late right now, but we want to make sure that we, maybe you guys, as you guys are working for the fall, you guys can have a student representative come to all of the Gen Ed Council meetings and participate in those, and I think that the faculty would enjoy that. So we do have a non-voting student slot that is usually traditionally assigned through SGA. So that would be perfect.
Director of Internal Affairs. So is the new transfer model supposed to only be applicable to USG institutions, or is it also applicable to private institutions within the state and institutions outside of the state?
So it is only applicable to USG institutions. We have a different process for private and out-of-state institutions, and there is sort of no guarantee for complete transferability as there is within USG institutions. And part of that is our surrounding states have much smaller gen eds, so they're like you complete your gen ed in Florida in 42 hours. Here it's 60, so they can't guarantee, right, that you will have all of the things that you need.
Hi, Senator for non-traditional students. So my question is, are y'all gonna keep the rule where, you know how people go to school and then they transfer to another school like later on, like they stop going, then they come to a new school? So how far would you date back them, y'all accepting the credits from another institution? Because I know it used to be like 5 years or something. Like, will y'all keep that?
I believe I'm not 100% sure. I believe it is 10 years, or if you change catalogs. So if you change institution and you change majors or you change catalogs, then you will be updated to the new one. If you leave and come back to the same institution into the same major and don't update the catalog, I think they have to take it for 10 years. But it's, usually students will change their catalogs, at least when they change their majors. But if you are very consistent, then I believe credits are good for 10 years in the USG system. But there's a policy in the catalog you can search for if you want to double check my off-the-cuff recollection.
Attorney and sorority life. I was also a transfer student, so my question is, will there be more cohesion among USG schools in terms of AP credits? Because I know it's different for all schools, and I know I lost a lot of credits when I came.
So that is a good question, one I haven't heard before. So that is actually something I probably need to get some clarification on. Currently, we allow departments to determine what they accept as AP credit. So as you can imagine, that varies pretty widely across the USG. However, the goal of this is to create more consistency. And they are revisiting the policy. So I'll actually add that to my list of questions because I hadn't really thought that far through that, and that does seem like that would be something that we need to find out. Yeah, I think that's probably an experience a lot of undergraduates have, so I think that's important we find out. If that's still going to be something that's going to be standardized across the system, or whether it's still going to be institution and department specific. So that's an excellent question. Thank you. Make sure I write that one down when I go back.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. Can you get her mic?
Hi, my name is Agazine, and I didn't know if this question was already asked, but I'm assuming that this implementation will affect students who are already at an institution. So I'm asking, how would the catalog affect the classes that were already taken? Yeah.
Okay, excellent question. So this will be in effect for students who are accepted into the institution as first-time fall enrolling freshmen for fall of 2022. So they will be beholden to this model, but we will have to continue to honor the catalog years of students previously. So what we will do is we will have to continue to teach a lot of the courses currently in the core, but most of them will be in the new one. We also have to create what's called a crosswalk document, which is kind of what we do with transfer students, where we equate what students have already taken in the old model and what will qualify to fill the gaps in the new model, so that there's no loss of credit for students who are currently going through the gen ed process. The USG is very committed to that not being an issue for students, that this should not disrupt students. Whatever you came in under is what we are obligated to teach you out of. So fall of 22, those students will have to come in and we'll have to teach them the new core, and there will be a time when we're teaching both, the old and the new, until we have students who are moved through that process. Or if we move chat courses, there will be equates. Right, so right now, world history is its own box. World history isn't going away, but it may go into a different box, so it will count in that box for the old students, and it will count in that box for the new students. Does that make sense? It's kind of a simplistic way to do it, but basically the people in the computer world program it such. So, but yeah, the goal is that it wouldn't be disruptive to students who haven't completed their core. And students will have the choice whether they want to go to if you're currently here, if you wanted to change catalog years and go to a newer one. And that may be beneficial for some students, and it may not. So every student always has the choice of their catalog year. So, excellent question.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you all, and I think my email's at the end, so if you have any further questions or anything, please don't hesitate to reach out, and then, I'll try to come back maybe in the fall, and we can talk about the model some more, and make sure that we touch base to get a student representative on the Gen Ed Council.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive that Director Lopez would love to get that seat.
Yes, and if you want to send me an email, I'll tell you when our next meeting is, and so we can have you involved in that as well. All right,
well,
thank you all.
Thank you very much. Please let us know when you want to come back. All right, so the next report we're going to move into is Director Watkins. She has a research opportunity she wants to present to the Senate.
All right.
So really quickly, today's Wednesday. Yes, so yesterday I had a meeting with an individual from a different institution who has created a new business that is dedicated to like podcasting. So at first it seemed a little like but as the conversation continued, I thought it might be something that would be really beneficial for Kennesaw. So basically it is a program that kind of ciphers through all the different podcasting and then connects different podcasts to universities. So it essentially enhances your opportunity to learn more about different research topics. The example that he provided for me, and I can put the supplemental information in the chat, was like a university needed a professor to talk about astrology. So they reached out to universities that they partner with, and that professor provided a podcast for the research opportunity. So it's beneficial in two ways. One, that it allows our professors to reach a larger demographic without necessarily having to go to a bunch of conferences. And then it also is beneficial for us because professors can request certain podcasts to help during the educational process, if that makes sense. So my question to y'all, and kind of why I wanted to talk about this, was to see if it is something that y'all even think is beneficial for me to take to our department, like our research department, because they would be the people who would fund it. Right now, they're offering a 90-day piloting program in which you can kind of test the system out, which is $3,000. So, like, of course, that wouldn't come out of our money, but that would be for something that the research department would decide upon. But so, how do y'all feel about it? So, if I explained it clearly enough in the first place.
Could you go back over like the details of it a little bit again?
Okay, so it's a business that's dedicated to providing, like, to sharing podcasts. So if you're a professor at a university and you're really knowledgeable about like astrology or like microbiology or something, and you have a podcast, they would
Help broadcast it
right.
to a larger audience.
And universities can specifically request them. So, yeah, y'all all look super confused.
Senator Oluwafemi.
Hi, Senator for International Students. I'm curious, is this a podcast that all students would have access to, or just faculty members would have access to it and then they would be able to present it during the class or something like that?
From my understanding, it would be the latter. So if there was a specific topic that your professor wanted more in depth, they could search for that a podcast relating to that topic and then provide it in class, kind of the way that professors provide access to research articles that you may not be able to get as a student by yourself.
Director Lopez.
Okay, I think I'm understanding it, but who has ownership over the podcast? Over like the platform that the podcasts are being listened?
Can you rephrase that?
Okay, so who owns them? Like, is it a specific university that reached out to you, or is it like a USG thing, or
it's
is it
independent entity that I believe like he works for Indiana University, or is it Indiana? It is. IU is Indiana, right? Yeah, so he works for Indiana University, and he and I guess other individuals created a business that apparently does not exist in the market in general, but it is a startup, so it's very small. They have about 9 other universities that they work with at this point, kind of disseminating podcasts.
So to my knowledge, this is like a mixture of Google Scholar. It's like a mixture of Google Scholar and YouTube and just with podcasts, though, for educational podcasts that your professors will be using,
right?
Like to talk on a specialized area that they may not be strong in.
Right, and it also provides the opportunity for our university to better market itself. If we have a bunch of, so I don't know how many of y'all have professors now that present at conferences, but it would be a way for them to present their work more without necessarily having to travel. And then it'll be like, so if another university requested something, it'll be like, Professor so-and-so from Kennesaw State, so it'll help with with notoriety and whatnot.
So what are you looking for? Are you looking for a vote to see if you should take this to the research department?
I mean, Yes, we could vote. I was more so trying to see about general feedback, if y'all even think that this is something that would be beneficial to take. So I guess a vote would be the best. vote.
Senator Coakley?
Senator for the College of Engineering and Engineering Technology. From what I'm hearing, this sounds like something that should definitely be taken up with faculty senate or like a faculty body, at least from what I'm hearing.
Yes, we as the Senate have no power because we have no money, and even if we had the money, we couldn't do it by ourselves. So I partially believe that the individual who contacted me misunderstood what Director of Communications for SGA was. He thought I had a lot more power than I do. So that was fun. But yeah, it is something that will require departmental backing and potentially like the university as a whole.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. Senator Oluwafemi?
Senator for Internationalists, is there a way that this could probably be incorporated like Galileo, where students can actually use their KSU IDs to log in and then listen to the podcast as well? Because I feel like that would make it worth more of our university's money.
I am not sure. That is not one of the questions I asked when I spoke to him yesterday. He is at a conference, but he said like he's available via email for me to ask any further questions, and yeah, so I can ask.
She will follow up.
Thank you.
All right. Is that all? Is there any questions from the audience? All right. Okay. So
take it to a department.
take it to the faculty senate,
Yeah,
in my
okay,
opinion.
okay, heard.
All right. So we are now still in officer reports. We're going to start off with Senator Lee Ganama.
Hey guys, so I know we've been off to a rough start and a rough transition, but we're here and we'll, start rolling. So, concerning the semester's projects, technically you all know for everyone that was at least there before, not submitting your semester project will result in a strike, but we will extend it again for a week or two. I'll tell you exactly. But you do have to submit it, even if you didn't. Now, for new senators, you'll follow the new deadline as like the first one that you'll have. So you'll have to submit it now. Also, I will send an email with like the link to schedule your one-on-ones for this month, and then also the link and instructions to fill up the Trello I talked to you guys about at the last meeting I attended. That's a task management system. So we'll be able to fill out information about your senator activities and your semester project activities so that we can like follow up easier or in an easier way, if that makes sense. Okay, hold up, I'm lost, okay. So I know campus engagement is not required no more, but it's still encouraged. And also I know some senators might need it like to follow up with the semester projects, so don't think that it's something that you cannot do anymore, because I received some questions about it, so just to make it clear. Also, if you're new and you didn't send your email to Secretary Tour before, please do, because that's how we'll be able to reach you and I'll be able to send that email, or just see me after the meeting. Yeah, end of report.
Thank you. Apparently, I had the old version of the agenda. I missed Senator Coakley. He has a HB 444 discussion that he would like to talk about.
Thank you very much. Cool. So I'm going to try to make this as edible as possible for the audience, because I know we don't have this whole thing and there's a whole PowerPoint that you guys are missing out on, but I'm going to do my best, all right? Cool. Just work with me. Cool. So the reason I'm up here today is to talk about House Bill 444, which is a bill that's going through the Georgia legislature right now, which deals with dual enrollment as it pertains to students in Georgia, right? So let me see what we got here. I'm going to start out by giving you guys some context around the bill and what's happening in the Georgia legislature right now. Then I'm going to talk about what dual enrollment is, and then I'm going to talk about what HB 444 is, and then I'm going to tell us why it matters to us. Y'all following back there? All right, cool. Cool. So for some context, I'm not sure if you guys know, but Georgia's legislature right now is in the midst of a a lot of discussion around its budget. There is a lot of money that was expected to come in this year that did not, and as a result, we were kind of having to maneuver a lot around what we kind of want to prioritize and what we have to cut and what we want to spend and all these different things. And as a result of all this kind of maneuvering, the governor ordered a 4% cut for the budget for FY20, which they just passed in the House, and a 6% cut for FY21. With that 6% cut, they're talking about looking into cutting a dual enrollment. So what is dual enrollment? Dual enrollment is a program that allows high school students to participate in college courses. I'm sure there are some people in here that have taken advantage of that program. Yes, I'm seeing some nods, that's cool. It's like an AP/IB or whatever, but better because it actually works, right? Because sometimes you might take an AP class and it doesn't transfer, and then you just waste like $50 on a test that doesn't count for anything, right? We heard an example earlier, right? Ooh, $90, $100, $5,000, whatever. Cool. So anyways, one of the big there are some really big pros to this because it allows high school students to kind of get exposed to the actual college atmosphere before they graduate high school. I have a lot of friends and I know about a lot of experiences where kids come to college and they're like, oh, whoa, what? This is like nothing what I expected, and they drop out of their first semester. We don't want that to happen to kids, right? We want them to kind of be acclimated to what they're going to expect when they get to college. So dual enrollment is super useful for that. As of 2018, 1% of high school students were taking advantage of this program. And that sounds small, but it's like 40 to 50,000 kids. That's a lot. And the program cost the state $100 million in FY20, and they're asking for $123 million in FY21. But like I mentioned, we're going around looking at cuts, and the governor says we should only give them $100 million. So where are those cuts coming from? That's what HB 444 is about, House Bill 444. The bill that was proposed would essentially cut a lot of the benefits that dual enrollment provides. It would limit students in high school to only 30 hours that they could take for dual enrollment. I know a lot of kids that graduate from high school with their associate's degree, and if they don't have access to or if they only have access to 30 hours of school, they won't be able to, or for free. If they only have access to 30 hours for free, they won't be able to graduate that associate's degree. It would also limit the selection of classes to core or career, technical, and agricultural education, which severely limits the diversity of classes that these kids are able to take. In addition, as it stands, students are able to take dual enrollment classes from 9th to 12th grade. I know a kid who was actually a mechanical engineering major. He graduated and he was 18 years old, like with his mechanical engineering degree. That's insane. He would not have been able to do that without dual enrollment. Let's see. So why does this matter to us? So I was at a faculty senate meeting a couple weeks ago, and President Whitten was there specifically to talk about this issue. And it came from her that she's actually in favor of HB 444. And I feel like as a body, we need to be paying more attention to these kinds of things, because I feel like being the SGA, being representative of all students on campus, we can't really sit back while our president's kind of talking about this kind of stuff. We have to make it known that we stand for students being able to take advantage of these opportunities. The reasoning that she gave, it's worth noting, is that it would, Kennesaw has to pay a lot of money to cover these dual enrollment students, but who knows? So yeah, that's about it. I would like to open the floor to discussion if the president does see fit.
I do. So do we have any discussion on the floor? Any questions, comments, or concerns with House Bill 444? Nothing. Well, Daniel Coley from the audience.
I would also like to concur about HB 4. You said 444.
Yeah, 444.
It's actually, it originated in the Senate actually, and the Senate has already voted to actually pass it. So it's actually moving a lot faster than we actually know. So it's actually something that really affects people like me who actually, benefited from dual enrollment, and it's the reason why I'm here right now and able to be, so far ahead because I don't know how I would afford 4 years of college without dual enrollment. So it's definitely something that we should be paying attention to, definitely talking to the administration about, because it's something that will affect us, because we won't see high schoolers in our sophomore classes anymore. I know sometimes we think about it and we're like, oh man, I really wish I would have done that, but it's something that's really, really great for them. So I think that you guys should take a bigger stance as a student government. So that's it.
Now, you mentioned taking a bigger stance, but you also said it's already been passed. So
in the Senate.
In the
so
Senate,
there is
okay.
it still has to go through the House
Okay.
For voting. They're going to be discussing it. The House is a lot bigger than the Senate, so
Right.
it still has to be discussed and signed into law by Governor Kemp. So call your legislators.
Yeah. Something that I found. Oh, we have another person in the audience that wants to speak on it. All right, hey, how you doing?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I also like to concur with what Daniel just stated, that it does benefit so many students who are able to take college courses before they're even enrolled in a formal university. I was one of those students as well. I'd also like to draw the attention that there are certain schools in Georgia that have a program where students are able to receive their associate's degree already ingrained with their high school diploma. So that would dangerously affect that school's ability to continue operating. To be able to have that jump and that leap is so beneficial, because for a lot of people, they cannot pay for college as is. So being able to take that program away to limit them to 30 credit hours is going to take so many opportunities away from students in Georgia. As the Student Government Association, I ask that you all advocate on behalf of those people who are able to do these things, because we're opening so many more doors for people who haven't even had the opportunity to come to college yet. So, thank you.
Question? Comment? Senator Coakley.
Senator Coakley, I should also note that President Whitten said that this would save Kennesaw a bunch of money or whatever, but it's worth noting that the average dual enrollment student only takes 12 hours. So.
Senator Atlan.
Hi, Senator for University College. I guess my main question is, like, how do we go about advocating the prevention of this House bill, like as a student body, other than just talking about it and raising awareness?
Do you have an answer? Oh. Who was the question directed to?
Everybody.
Everyone?
I mean, yeah, spreading awareness is definitely key. We can pass resolutions and all that and actually take it up with the administration. We may be able to sway the president's view on this kind of thing. And I know that the president is a frequenter of the Capitol, so if her views are changed, then we might see something.
Director Watkins.
So, as a Senate, the only thing we can really do is advocate and then try to convince Dr. Whitten, and then the only thing that she can do is use her voice to speak to representatives, and that's kind of the only way. Okay.
Director Whitmire.
Director Whitmire, I concur with that, with everything everybody has said here. This program is extremely important for lower income students, lower income high school students within the state. There's a particular provision that within this bill that should be singled out, that it's even further stringent, where you have to have a particular SAT or ACT score to even be able to apply to dual enrollment. And so this is something that we need to point out. I know that I'm specifically for the next meeting going to be writing a resolution to address this, because this is an issue that is very near and dear to my heart, even though I am not a dual enrollment student, or I wasn't.
Senator Abdul.
Senator for Coast College of Business. One thing that as a senator that we could do, I feel like, is talk to our deans, because deans meet with the president as well, so kind of share our ideas and how this negatively affects our constituents and how they should take a stronger stance against it, and they could voice that over to the president, because we all don't have direct access to President Whitten.
Senator Jones.
Senator for American Minorities. I really don't want us to take an approach that is powerless, because though we are a student body, we have a lot more power than some of us are given credit for. So I think if the Senate sees fit, beyond Director Whitmire passing a resolution next meeting, maybe a campaign on behalf of student government after voting for the Senate to get students engaged with calling legislators and things like that, the information about the bill, passing that on to the students so that they can see this is happening. What is the information, the presentation that Senator Coakley gave us. If anything, we can take an approach of educating the student body so that they can be as involved as we know that they can be, and we have the connects of student leaders to get them involved as well as ourselves. And I also agree with the idea of Senator Abdul of speaking to our deans and speaking to the people that we're meeting with consistently, because this is higher education. So these are the people that are going to be directly affected by said bill.
All right. Director Lopez.
Director of Academic Affairs. So Kennesaw State is actually a huge dual enrollment school. A lot of my friends, because I'm from Cobb County, have been to Kennesaw for dual enrollment. And so I think the issue is that a lot of students just don't know what's happening. And if they knew, like, people would raise all kinds, like, they would not take it because a lot of people are very passionate about it. They just don't know about what's going on. So it actually surprises me that President Whitten would even, be on that stance, because we have so many local high schools around us that literally benefit from us. And a lot of our students come to Kennesaw because they dual enroll here and they're like, oh, I love it here, I'm gonna stay. So so whatever Director Whitmire and whatever you need me to do, please let me know, and I'm more than willing to help.
Director Whitmire.
Right, so along the lines of campaigning, we specifically need to advocate for something along the lines of a referendum on this issue to get more in touch with the students on the ground. Again, we want to make them aware of this issue. We also need to start reaching out to other RSOs. Any RSOs that may be even pertinent, maybe even tangentially related to this issue, specifically to get more and more awareness on this. Again, I think the best course going forward is to essentially advocate for a referendum on this to President Whitten.
Senator Abdul.
Senator for Coast Cause of Business. This is just a question for anyone. Is there a way to statistically see how many students are dual enrolled here at this campus?
We should have numbers on that, yeah.
Senator Coakley, there are probably more accurate numbers available somewhere, but President Whitten did say at the Faculty Senate meeting that we have around 1,000 enrolled.
Director Watkins.
Director of Communications, while I see the benefit in us advocating as college students and reaching out to our representatives and our deans and Dr. Whitten, I believe that another avenue that is important to be addressed are the parents of high schoolers, because those are the people who are directly impacted right now. So they may not be aware of what's going on, and that's just another group of individuals that can help our voices be heard more.
Senator Jones.
Going off of what Director Watkins said, I think maybe this can be a project that we present to our Director of External Affairs beyond the Senate voting to go along with that, to get communication between local high schools and see maybe what high schools we retain the most dual enrollment students from, get engagement with those, as well as maybe reaching out to other SGAs in other colleges of USG to see their stance on it, as well as their dual enrollment engagement, and reach out to those high schools as well. So maybe that's something that we could approach our Director of External Affairs with
Got you.
as a project.
Yeah. I agree that Director Whitmire, yourself, Vincent, Director Watkins, if she's passionate about it enough, can team up with Director Mary Kate, and then just see what we can do with this. And then also keep me in the loop, because I was a dual enrollment student as well. So this is kind of near and dear to me. I'm not really able to say anything until the end, but Senator Vance.
Senator for Registered Student Organizations. I work at University College Advising, and that's where dual enrollment is housed, I guess you would say. And they would be a great person to reach out to in terms of educating people about the bill and things like that. I think a lot of the
high school parents already know, because we get like a lot of phone calls and questions about it already. So I think educating like college students, or I don't know, more educating the parents, but I think they already kind of know.
Right. Now, we have Senator Rhodes.
Senator for the College of Arts. One thing we can reach out with is orientation leaders specifically. I don't know if anybody said that, I didn't hear it. Orientation, especially during the summertime, we do tabling events that express what is SGA. I think we can also present that as a matter too. You know, it works.
Gotcha. And we have a comment from the audience. Can somebody get the microphone there?
Hi there, my name is Anta Malik. While I'm a major advocate for the dual enrollment program, I believe that it provides students lots of benefits, such as getting a head start on college classes, preventing the college dropout rate, which is really important, and then also, you know, increasing the size of the freshman or first year student class that comes into Kennesaw. So I do agree that it is very beneficial, but this is a question for Senator Coakley. You did mention that President Whitten said that cutting like the funds on everything we would just get more money back as a school. So do you know exactly what she's planning on doing with those funds that don't go towards dual enrollment students? Or could we find out to see like what, how important it could be?
That's a great question. I don't have exact details on where that new money would go. That's all I have to say.
All right. Well, so I do have a meeting scheduled with President Whitten on March 17th. This would definitely be a talking point. Also, myself and Director Whitmire and Director Lopez will be meeting with Dr. Eric Arneson, so we can like make this a topic of discussion to see what their viewpoints are and why their viewpoints are that, so then we can relay that message back to you guys, and then you guys can, you know, disseminate that information. But we will now be moving on to the rest of the officer reports. All right, and we're gonna start off with Director Watkins.
All right, Director of Communications. Only have two things for y'all. As y'all know, we're in SGA week right now, so thank you to everyone who has come out so far, and it's not over till it's over. All right, so Monday we had Hey Black Queen, which I'll let Senator Martin talk a little bit more about. Last night we had the Cultural Competency Workshop, which was really, really fun, so thank you guys, everyone who participated. Of course, tonight we had Kick It with the Senate, so thank y'all for coming out. And I believe that we actually had a couple of students come up and ask about personal projects, and then we also were able to direct a law student, so that was fun. Tomorrow will be the spelling bee at 6:30 in Convocation Room 2008. That'll be fun, because I know like we have this whole thing where like everyone's like, no, I can't spell, so let's see who actually can't spell for real. So that's cool. The important thing is Friday. We have our Senate service project, in which we will be going to South Cobb High School at 3:45 to speak with their high school SGA. So we're going to talk a little bit about what college life is, leadership, and then what leadership looks like on campus as an involved student. That is a mandatory event. While the details were presented to y'all today, you were instructed at the last two meetings to keep Friday open because we would have a service opportunity. So please try to be there on time so that we can all go in together and make a good impression. Last thing, we are currently within SGA campaigning for those of you all who applied to be in next year's Senate. Elections open on Monday and close on the 16th, so we need to do a really good job of promoting voting and getting a lot of student engagement. We want students to have a voice in who their representatives will be. So, end of report.
DPO Snell.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing? My announcements are very short. It's just about strikes and making sure we stay away from them. So the first two strikes that y'all would have received if y'all did not go to events is the cultural competency. which happened on Tuesday, and Kick It with the Senate would just happen before this meeting. Coming up on Friday, like she said, is the community service project, which you all need to attend. If you are not there, you will receive a strike for that. And emails will be coming out on Friday to let you know of your standings. End of report.
Director Lopez.
Okay, hello everyone. I hope you guys are having a great week. So to start off, I did get invited to present the Student Disability Services name change to the Presidential Commission on Ethnic and Racial Diversity. So that went really well, and they agreed to sponsor a letter to the Presidential Commission of Disability Strategies and Initiatives. So thank you to Senator Jones for allowing me to go with her and for helping me out with all of that. I got to meet with the new Coles College dean. She was the interim dean, and now she's the actual dean. So she's an amazing woman. Got to talk about a lot of initiatives I'm working on with her, and she was just great in general. Midterm munchies signups have closed. They closed on March 1st, as I said, for months. So if you did miss that deadline, you will be receiving a strike, and also you should still sign up because it's another strike if you don't do it. That is on March 17th. So yeah, I'll put more details in the group me, even though I've been putting them in the group me for a hot little minute. Homecoming committee, I did get to go to a meeting on that, and pretty much for next year, they're working on all the details already for homecoming next year. Pretty much the biggest thing that we took away from the last meeting was that instead of us having like a headliner performer and like someone who introduces them, like a smaller performer, we're gonna have kind of like a festival theme. They wanna do that instead, and so we can have different genres represented and not just like, someone, if you don't like them, then too bad. It's like more of a festival theme with different genres. So next meeting, I'll be presenting SGA certificates to people who had a 3.0 or above during last semester. I think that people who have done well academically should be rewarded because it's not easy being a senator and being a student. It's a full-time job, and I think that you should be rewarded. So look forward to that. I'll also be putting something in the group me for you to like if you did receive a 3.0, not your cumulative GPA, not on AliExpress, but if last semester you got all A's and B's, send me confirmation and you'll be receiving a certificate. I will be meeting with financial aid. I sent an email to them to clarify for minors and also just general and financial aid questions. So if any of you have questions about that for you specifically, your major, your constituents, please let me know. I did get to attend Senator Jones' Minority Student Advisory Board. She's doing a great job, and if you have not attended, you should make a way to do that at some point. I will be meeting with the arts dean on this coming Thursday, and also if you submit an application for dining committee, look out for an email from me coming up soon. I am planning an event called Women in Academia for Women's History Month, and also for my, I work with academic affairs. So it will be a panel discussion with women who have excelled in their specific fields in academics. So if you, obviously I'm not in every college, I don't know who's great in every college. So if you guys could reach out to me and be like, this woman's amazing, that would be great. And also, I will be presenting a resolution next meeting, so please look out in the group me for that and also the agenda and the report.
Question. So it's about the homecoming committee, the festival. We have trouble funding one major artist alone. How do they plan on having a festival of popular artists come through to KSU?
My question too. I don't know. I will get back to you on that.
Heard. All right, Director Whitmire.
Director Whitmire, hi again, y'all. So I've got a bit, but I'll try to make it as brief as possible. So we had our first internal affairs meeting, so thank you to everybody who came out for that. We did a lot of great work, which I'm gonna go into now. So we have an event planned for April the 27th. Director Lopez and I are gonna be combining two events for the Fuel for Finals and what is gonna be now a mental health day. So the strategy is that we're trying to maximize engagement around campus to give publicity to SGA and also help students around campus because it's a mental health day. So in particular, the first part of the strategy will be essentially working with RSOs in a few departments. That we're going to be working with a lot of RSOs. So if you're helping out with that, please make sure you get me a list of RSOs as well and start reaching out to them because I'm going to have to start delegating duties down. With that, our second part of the strategy is that we're going to be holding events around campus around the entire day. So it'll be a little bit hectic, but we're going to be working to make it organized as basically as streamlined as possible. So this is how at least the first draft of how we're going to structure this. So at noon, we're looking to have maybe like a stress ball / slime station, similar to what the former College of Math and Science did last semester, and that'll be in front of the Student Center. The second part at noon will be a Release Our Stress event. This is mostly like a marketing type thing. So the initial idea we had was having balloons sort of just flow up. So write down your stress and what's bugging you, and then just release it into the air. But also that might be bad for the environment, so we're trying to maybe work out something different. At 2 p.m., we're looking to have a coping skills workshop, so that's something we'll partner with Psych Services on. And then for the second event at 2 p.m. is a Jar of Sand event. That's something that Senator Jones came up with in our meeting, and it was a very good idea. And so we're either looking to put that in front of the Commons or the Student Center. Again, first draft. At 4 p.m., why am I Jasper? I was trying to remember your last name. But we came up with a guided meditation / yoga thing that we'll hold. So location for that is TBA. With that, that'll be something that we hold at 4 p.m. For the 6 p.m., and this is where the combination for Fuel for Finals comes in, is that we'll have a pizza party with SGA. And so that will be with that, we'll also have a time management workshop. So we'll come in with someone to speak and give people good, effective time management skills for tests and the toll it will take if you don't have effective time management. But that's what we've got worked out so far for the Mental Health Day. So if you have any questions or input, please come to the next Internal Affairs meeting or just reach out to me individually. All right. And second thing is that we have resolutions coming up. So we worked out a new resolution docket. So we'll have a few things coming up at the next meeting. Now that we know about the dual enrollment, that's probably going to take priority above those two resolutions, but that's one thing that we'll have coming up. On top of that, we have a Bob improvement resolution that we're going to be looking into. So potentially looking into service on weekends and potentially addressing infrequency. So that's something we're going to have to get maybe more info on, but something that we're going to be definitely looking into. Second resolution, third, is an Elections Day Off resolution that Senator Igbert came up with. It's a mimic of a Georgia State resolution that they recently passed, where essentially if it's an election, you have school off to essentially turn out votes. So that's something that will be probably easy to pass, and palatable to the Senate. And finally, Director Lopez and I believe will be meeting with Dr. Arneson now? Okay. To present the WRC resolution that was passed at the end of last semester and Director Lopez's resolution on the dining committee. All right, end of report.
All right. Treasurer Har.
Hey guys, Treasurer Har. So I guess since we're having technical difficulties, I can't present really well, but if you guys would go to the business chat. Thank you. That'll do. I would recommend pulling it up on your phone. But so real quick, our fiscal year 20 allocation was $4,600. That was about 60% less than we've received in previous years, and that comprises of 74% of programming, 11% of promotion, and 15% travel. Our requests as of now have totaled up to $2,182, and I'll get into the breakdown of the remainder in those requests later on. The travel that we were granted, the $700, is for the SAC conference. Tariq is supposed to attend 3 conferences throughout the year, summer, fall, and winter. And that $700 pays for all 3 individual conferences. Our programs and services is broken down. The $3,400 in programs is broken down into $2,000 for senator forums, $500 for internal affairs, $500 for fuel for finals, and $400 for fuel for midterms. And then there's a $500 promotional budget which we can use how we see fit. Our upcoming and recent expenditures, our expenses up to this point have included senator forums. There's a request for homecoming, fall fuel for finals, and fall fuel for midterms. Promo items, office supplies, and upcoming expenditures include senator events, internal affairs, fuel for midterms, fuel for finals, and then we will have to pay for a SAC conference for the next year. In those upcoming expenditures, I expect that internal affairs will use the entire $500. I anticipate that academic will use the full $900 for fuel for midterms and finals combined, and then we'll have to pay the $700 for conference costs. That leaves approximately $317 left in the senator forums budget, which I know there's already been a request for 150 of that. So I kind of wanted to use this opportunity to ask the Senate if there's anything that you would like to do before the end of the year. Please submit those so I can go ahead and get an understanding of what y'all's needs are, and then if we can approve the current request that's pending. The last couple slides are in regard to SABAC, which is the Student Activities Board Advisory Committee. They oversee the allocation of student activity fees to RSOs. Our next meeting is March 18th, and that's going to be the last supplemental request meeting. And I'm pretty sure we're going to run out of supplemental request money at that meeting. So perfect timing. The next slide gets into the annual budget request for fiscal year 21. That deadline is this month, March 27th at noon. They're very strict on that, so if you do not submit a annual budget request, you won't receive an annual budget, and all of your requests will have to come from supplemental request meetings. So I believe the Department for Student Life is hosting 4 information sessions to answer RSO questions about the annual budget request process. Those dates are listed on the PowerPoint, and I would highly advise that any RSOs interested in learning more about this process attend all of these meetings, and that you let your constituencies know about these meetings. And then the last slide just talks about the money approval process for you all. Like I said, I want a good idea of how much money we plan on using out of our budget so I can go ahead and approve the pending request. This is done at owllife.kennesaw.edu. And then once it's approved, you can email Tracy Safford at wburrison@kennesaw.edu to set up a meeting. And then she'll guide you through the process, either getting reimbursed or setting up another form of payment for your expenditure. Does anybody have any questions? Cool. Thank you, and end of report.
Secretary Tor.
Hi guys, I just wanted to remind you that if you are still doing campus engagements, when you fill out the form, please make sure that you're putting a second option for the location in case your first location isn't available. And make sure that when you're looking on the reservation site, that if you see a room that you want to host your event in, that you click on it to make sure it actually is reservable. Also, this is kind of old news, but I never actually said it. We got Scantrons, but we have a limited amount, and once they're out, they're basically out because we don't have an office supplies budget anymore. So if students start asking if they can get them from us once they're out, the answer is no, we don't do that anymore. End of report.
Ouch. Vice President Veter.
I'll keep this short. 2 Fridays ago, on the 21st of February, I attended a library faculty meeting where 2 main things were discussing a new way to get books for cheaper, and our library has half the budget it should. There seems to be a recurring theme in this school. Then on the Monday, 24th, I went to a meeting. There was Department of Transportation person there, and I discussed with some RSO leaders on the Marietta campus some of their budgeting issues. This past Wednesday, I met with the Chief Diversity Office, and we discussed the upcoming speakers and how the culture on campus is going to respond. And this past Saturday, there was Leap Into Leadership Conference, and I thank those SGA representatives that did come. Yes. And they loved having you guys there. So, end of report.
All right. Hey, everybody, how you guys doing? It's so, like, the energy is kind of like disappears. Y'all stressed out? Is it midterms? Like, what's going on? It's 8:30. Yeah, I got you. So, I'm gonna try to make this short and sweet. So, upcoming, myself, JJ, and Andrew, Director Whitmer, Director Lopez. We're meeting with Dr. Anderson, as he said earlier, echoing him. They're gonna get to present their resolutions. Hopefully, he likes them and we get them passed. Myself and Vice President Vito have a meeting with President Whitten on March 17th. So if you have anything that you would like for us to talk to her about, please let us know, because this is how she gets the student pulse, like House Bill 444. That is going to be a major talking point now. So make sure you are relaying what's a big problem in your constituency, like, and what's going well, and what we need to improve on, what we need to keep doing. We do have a Policy Process Council meeting on March 17th, SGA week. The participation, it's halfway there. 70% of the senators came to the mandatory event yesterday, right? Was it 70% or was it like closer to 65? Closer to 65. Okay, so we are very friendly. We're very open-minded. We take excuses sometimes if they're reasonable. But if we are promoting something for the last 2 months, that is a mandatory event. Like JJ has been promoting Midterm Munchies, which is a mandatory event. We don't really need excuses the day before or the day of, or, oh, I didn't sign up because, if they're talking about it meeting after meeting after meeting. And I'm not harping down on anybody, I'm just saying that's just how it is. And we're not mean people for not accommodating somebody for missing something that they have been knowing about for the last month and a half. Elections. Hey, elections. How you guys doing in the audience? So that's going well. We are in the campaigning process. Make sure you're letting your constituents know that SGA elections are coming up. We want to keep this elections fair. We want everything to be going smoothly. If things are not fair and are not going smoothly, there will be suspensions, and then we may have to get rid of your campaign. So I met with the Safety Council of the university, and they say the threat for the coronavirus is very, very low, and things are getting blown out of proportion. And also, we have a all-time high in vaccinations for KSU, which is good, probably because everybody's going out trying to get rid of the coronavirus scare. But just so you know, the threat risk is very, very low, and it is not a big, massive problem how we are looking at it right now. And that is the end of my report. All right. So we will now move into open forum. Open forum is time for the Senate to report on any SGA-related activities that they have participated to serve their constituencies. If you have not spoke during open forum this month yet, oh, well, new month. Okay, so you have to speak at least once a month. You guys, you know that? And Senator Coakley.
Senator for the College of Engineering and Engineering Technology. So I got up to a couple things in these past couple weeks. I had the chance to go to a staff Senate meeting, which is not faculty Senate. They were talking about HR stuff, which is fun. What's it called? I went to a faculty Senate meeting too. I told you guys about that, where President Whitten was talking about HB 444. We also learned that the KSU, or the KS logo out there by Kennesaw Hall was actually donated to the school. So if you're worrying about Kennesaw not spending money wisely anymore, then we didn't.
Can you repeat that again?
The KS logo.
It was donated, you said?
It was donated.
It didn't come out of student fees, you said?
Did not.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. What's it called? I also had the chance to talk to the provost at that faculty senate meeting. It was just a short little side conversation, but we did kind of reconvene on the whole grade distributions topic, and I emailed her about that. She emailed me back saying that she's gonna ask a question, and she hasn't emailed me back since. That was last Thursday, so I'll probably follow up. I had the chance to meet with my dean regarding the student advisory board, the whole project I've been telling you guys about like this whole time. And we actually have a meeting week set up. So not a date, but the week of the 16th, the student advisory board for the Southern Polytechnic College of Engineering and Engineering Technology is gonna meet. That's gonna be a cool thing. Also, our college finished its R2 roadmap. Every college was like told to do this, so you should get in contact with your deans about getting whatever this looks like. They had to focus on 3 areas: undergraduate, graduate, and research, and essentially how we're going to model ourselves as the best R2 university we can be, as President Whitten wants, within those 3 areas. So that's all I got.
Gotcha. Oh, I want to say your name correctly. Senator Ijibre. We're going to hang out after. Senator Irene.
Senator for Wellstar. So started working on my project. So the goal of our project basically is to find a way to promote more certificate programs for Wellstar students and any students essentially, especially I know because I'm a nursing major, a lot of us do find sometime during our years here, we have no classes or we're waiting to get into nursing school, so we're kind of just sitting around. So we want to promote our what Kennesaw has to offer with certificates and stuff like that. So I started emailing different clubs and organizations that correlate with the different majors within Wellstar to kind of start surveying them and seeing if any of them have taken, who has gotten a certificate or would like to get one, kind of start from there so we can know how to promote it better. End of report.
Senator Atlin.
Hi guys, Senator for University College. So I got a lot of stuff done, I feel, in these last 2 weeks. I finally was able to meet with my dean like last Tuesday, and I brought to her an idea to create a fellowship type program for first years and transitional students, trying to get them to engage into research at an earlier point in their college career. And so she really loved it, so she actually created the program, and it's called the First Year Undergraduate Research Summer Workshop. Working on the name. Right now she's trying to procure funding for this workshop. Also, I brought to her the idea of improving the University College website because I feel like it's kind of hard to navigate and it's a little bit inefficient. And so she's brought that idea to the marketing and social media specialists, and that's also a work in progress. And lastly, I pitched to her via email my resolution idea to basically remove the charge for pads and sanitary napkins in the women's bathrooms. Considering that Kennesaw gives away condoms for free, it should not be charged, considering that we need these items. It's a necessity and not a choice. Haven't gotten back to her. She hasn't gotten back to me yet about that idea, but she's busy. And lastly, I'm trying to schedule another meeting with her every month to talk about the progress with the workshop and other stuff that I'll bring up to her. Thank you. End of report.
Thank you very much. I did not know they charged y'all for that. That is a very valid concern. That is not fair. Senator Abdul.
Senator for Coast Cause of Business. 2 weeks ago, our co-senators and I, we met with the Student Advisory Board. It was beautiful. We got free food. Our dean, who is now our official dean, as Senator Lopez said, she just told us of her plans for COES and which direction she's trying to go with the programs, and that's like continuing education outside of education, so that's pretty cool. I also ran into the department chair at that student advisory meeting, and I repitched my idea for the project proposal, and he told me to get in contact with Professor Burton, which I ran into last week, so I'll be setting up a meeting with her to tell her about my ideas and how we could better the curriculum for marketing.
All right. Senator Hardy.
Senator for Coast Cause of Business. Yeah, during our lunch meeting with our dean, our new official dean, I meet with my co-senators. We talked about a lot of interesting things, and also we kind of discussed how Coles isn't really a high priority school when it comes to recruiting for larger businesses in the state of Georgia, and how we can kind of change that, but more so focus on the student and adding value to their degree from Coles and make them more marketable through increasing the students' tolerance for ambiguity, asking questions, like learning to ask why, how to ask why, and to give them a less traditional approach to the curriculum. And also adding more focus on micro-credentialing in credentials such as Excel and different items within your degree that you can have that can make you more valuable and in a report.
Senator Mons.
Senator for non-traditional students. I met with Judy Craven, who works in the Division of Student Affairs office on Marietta campus. Just talked to her with my ideas and got a few notes from that. We're currently setting up a survey to send out to my constituents just to figure out what they need and what they feel they want from me and what they want to see more of on Kennesaw State's campus. And per the daycare, I did find out that they tried to do it about 8 to 10 years ago. So I have to set up a meeting with Linda Lyons. Don't know who that is yet. Apparently she works somewhere by the dean's office. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. And I'm setting up a meeting with the office upstairs, Adult and Community Student Affairs here, Adult Resource Center. Just to get in touch with them, see how they figure about the survey and a newsletter for my constituents. End of report.
Senator Jones.
Senator for American Minorities. I have a little bit. So as previously stated by Director Lopez, I had my first set of meetings for the Minority Student Advisory Board this week on Monday and Tuesday. They went really well, and I got a lot of feedback from my constituents, which I'm really excited about because, as stated earlier, I am getting the opportunity to engage with constituents that don't just look like myself. Oh, I'm not close enough? Okay. That don't just look like myself. So that was great. I also want everybody to note that the Diversity Awards ceremony will be April 22nd, 11:30 to 1 p.m. I think that's a Wednesday. So that's going to be really great. It's honoring faculty, staff, and students who are leaders of diversity and inclusion on campus. Also, next week, I will be sitting on a panel for women in leadership. So come out to that and support me because I have to talk. I also attended the co-ed meeting, the Presidential Commission on Racial and Ethnic Affairs with Director Lopez, and presented the name change for student disability services, and met with our Chief Diversity Officer. Also wanted to say, after meeting with dining at the end of last semester with President Bradford and Senator Robinson, we officially got a student DJ back for Cram Jam, so yay, everybody for that. But I do want everybody to encourage all of your fellow peers to be on their best behavior at Cram Jam, because otherwise, that won't happen.
Please let people know to not fight at the end of Cram Jam. If you have Greek friends, if they want to stroll, they get once, maybe twice. And also, don't let them fight each other, because you will not have another Cram Jam that the students are able to lead. Don't let them fight. Don't let your peers come drunk. Don't let any of that mess happen, or you will be stuck with, what was the theme of Cram Jam last semester? You will be stuck with that. So they're giving us, the students, a chance to give us something that we actually want to do, something we want to enjoy, and just don't destroy it. You know what I mean? The ball is in our court now.
So please keep that campaign going forward, because that really is important. They're giving us, I don't want to say one last opportunity, because that's not what they said, but the reality of it is that they are giving us one last chance to show that we are decent human beings and we can have an event on campus without ruining it. So let's not ruin it. Also, next week, I will be attending the Presidential Commission on LGBTQ Affairs, so I will look out next meeting for me to update you guys on that agenda. Also, March 24th, I am looking to host the Georgia State NAACP president, as well as Representative Jasmine Clark, for an event that will present itself as a second option from the Ben Shapiro event on March 24th. Still looking for a location to host it, so if anybody knows a location to host that event, please let me know, because that's going to come in between us having and not having the event. And also, I've been speaking with Professor Seneca Vaught, who is a frequent study abroad lead, to discuss extended payment plans for the study abroad program. In a report.
Senator Solis.
Senator for the College Undergraduate Humanities and Social Sciences. Hi everyone, I will try and keep this short. So I was able to sit in on the Dean's Advisory Council, and I was finally able to meet Dean Long and the Associate Dean of Academics, where we were talking about rising student turnout, especially for the Arnold Palmers with the Dean. We also talked about compiling a list of the current student leaders for the registered student organizations within our college. I also took the opportunity to introduce my project proposal to the dean, and they approved it, and we talked about steps towards moving along with it and a report.
All right. Senator Martin. I've known you since like freshman year.
Hi guys, I've missed you. I've been struggling with like my health and just getting my life together, so I apologize. But I also just want to say thank you very quickly to Director Watkins for allowing me to just work from a distance and helping me fulfill my responsibilities with Hey Black Queen, which was Monday's SGA week event. It went really well. We had an attendance of about 90, and everybody has been speaking very highly about their experience at the event. So I just want to thank everyone who came out or supported. And again, my apologies, I've been like dying, but we back.
All right. And lastly, end the report. Lastly, we have Senator Rhodes.
Hello, Senator Rhodes, Senator for College of Arts. I just met with my dean on Monday. I've been waiting to meet with this man for at least 3 months now, so we know how that goes. We actually talked a little lengthily. It was brief, but it was real. He talked about a lot of information. He gave me a lot of information too on what I need to do as a senator, also to help me out career-wise, but also SGA. You know, he helped me out with SGA a lot. He introduced me to 3 different candidates within the College of Arts, the director of the Visual Arts building also, and he introduced me to a few people to help me volunteer for a few volunteer opportunities, not just for myself, but if anybody in the Senate wants to participate too. It's a theater event coming up on later on in the month. I'm gonna get that date to you, but it's a theater event coming up later on that will help you work. He said will help you work on your people skills. So if you struggle talk with people skills, and you know as a senator, you know you got to talk to people, engagement. So you know, if you would like to better yourself with speaking or you want to volunteer at an actual theatrical event, you know, let me know. You'll be ushering. But also, we talked about pretty much my project proposal. The project idea focused on, like, I want to do an art show necessarily. And we focused on basically how to help me do that. He introduced me to Kelly Smith, which I will be, I think either Kelly Smith and Geo Sip. And they will be, I will be getting into contact with them shortly. I will let y'all know at the next meeting, even though I don't have to. I'm gonna do it anyway because, you know. Yeah, so I will be in contact with them soon. And I will also be doing a donor event on the 14th. Also, this is my birthday month. Yeah. But I'll be doing a donor event on the 14th with so-and-so. Basically, I'll be going to an event that you have to get invited to, so hopefully I'm trying to get invited to this event. And I will basically be talking with a few other people there at said event and regarding my constituency. So.
And the report. Gotcha. All right. Now we're going to move into new business. So I would like to welcome Daniel Coley to the floor. At this time, would you like to take a moment to share to the Senate why you are the best fit for the seat of Senator of Humanities and Social Science?
Thank you, Mr. President. So if some of you are shook and shocked, I hope it's a good shock. I just want to say that I miss you guys so much. I just want to also say that the Georgia State Senate is not compared to this Senate. Both are equally important, but this one's a little bit better. This is my favorite. I spent a lot of time away from SGA, of course, as a lot of you guys know. I don't know a lot of you, because you guys have filled the seats of former senators, so I have to get to know you guys. But for those of you who do know me, just know that I miss you guys very much. My decision to really try to come back to SGA and go back to my seat as a senator of humanities and social sciences is really that I really miss the work that you guys have done. I really miss the work that I was able to do for my constituents, and I really just miss being able to have an impact on campus and just be able to help students like myself and like people who don't really know what they're wanting to do or don't really know how to get involved. Helping them get involved not only here but also in their civics duties, as well as voting and stuff. Because you guys know I'm really crazy about voting. So I hope to be able to come back if you guys will allow me to come back. I hope to come back to take my seat and work alongside my maybe co-Senator Salas, because she's absolutely amazing. I really love her. And be able to, push, just certain things that, campus engagement as well as, civic engagement, because we do have an election this year. I know y'all know about that. The Georgia primary is March 24th. Really important that we all get out there and have our voices heard. So that's something I would love to focus on. I know I heard the idea about having Election Day be, kind of like a holiday for students, and I think that is so, so important because there's 38,000 students that represent KSU, and their voices deserve to be heard in the Georgia primary as well as in November election. So that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Daniel Coley? We have Senator Rhodes with a question.
Senator for the College of Arts. I have a question. It's not really a question. I miss you.
I miss you so much.
I miss you.
I miss your voice.
That's all I have to say.
All right. Any further questions? All right, Daniel, get on out. Oh, Senator Martin.
Can you please give an example of an opportunity that you had to face adversity?
So, so I don't know if you've ever, okay, so adversity. I don't know if you know what the SGA Senate is at KSU, but there was a lot of adversity there. No, I guess the biggest thing is just leaving. That was the biggest adversity for me back in December. It was a decision that a lot of y'all saw that I stuck around so long. That's because I was like, I don't want to leave, but Andrew has my mental health in mind, and he was like, you're not going to be able to handle all that stuff. But of course, I was able to move some stuff around and reprioritize my stuff. So that's why I want to come back.
All right, heard. And Director Whitmire with the final question.
Hi, Daniel. I know you hate me, but I also love you.
Yeah, okay.
But now that you're able to reprioritize your time, when are you coming back to MUN?
That's funny. So I actually was there yesterday when you were talking during the meeting. So, but no, MUN is a really great club. You guys should definitely check it out.
All right, Mr. Coley, could you please take a step out of the room while we have further discussion and then go into a vote? Thank you. Yeah, we will. All right. Oh, and he is now closing the doors. That is a grade A student right there.
Not a grade A student.
All right, so Senator Solis.
Senator for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. I have nothing negative to say about this candidate. As the current only sitting senator, I could really use the help and his guidance as a previous senator. I look up to him in the intern program. He was one of my mentors. Look up to him. Great guy.
Senator Abdul.
Senator for Coast Cause of Business, I just want to say that I love Daniel. He's great. His persistence for SGA and what he wants this program to be is impeccable. He's an impeccable person. He works hard, and he's great.
Director Lopez.
Okay, so we don't need to waste time discussing how amazing Daniel is because we all know he's amazing. He's for those of you guys who don't know, he's finishing up an internship program at the Capitol. So if there's any experience that is better for the Senate, it is literally working with the Senate. So he's going to come back and be on fire. He's already been on fire. He's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. So take that.
Take that. And Director Whitmire.
Director Whitmire, y'all already know. Come on, man. He is my rock. He really has been been there for me. at a number of junctions. He's kept me sane, even though I am a little angry little man, according to Kia. So he keeps me, he really helped me this semester and the last one. So come on, man. He was also my co-senator, also with noting at CHSS. So he would be perfect for this position because I worked with him as the senator of Humanities and Social Sciences. So,
yeah. All right. And last, we're going to wrap it up with Senator Martin.
Clearly, based off everything you've just said, he's a terrible candidate, and I don't understand why we're debating.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, after that, do we have a motion on the floor to approve this candidate? Senator Solis.
Senator Solis, I move to approve this candidate. I move to approve this candidate.
Is there a second on the floor? Senator Mobley. All right, all in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? This does pass. Can somebody get the door, please? Hi, how you doing? I'm sorry to inform you that you... Okay, now, we are going to... Can you pass? I'm going to walk around so we can swear you into the Senate. It was a unanimous decision. Congratulations, good sir.
Y'all are so sweet. I'm just want to let everyone know that for the longest time, whenever we sent people out, and I was like, they're listening. I can't hear anything. I try.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you don't want to hear. Sometimes
That's
you...
sad.
Oh, man, this is... Okay. I'm going to politely ask our lovely Director of Communications to come to the center of the floor and hold that laptop a little closer, because I'm not trying to strain my eyes, and you
That's
already
fair.
wear glasses.
I know. Y'all, like, my vision's really bad. I can't actually read that with my glasses. I don't think they work anymore.
You know, my vision used to be good.
Until
I don't know, I'm either getting old or...
it's old age. What a powerful walk.
Hey. So, we're going to place you right behind the camera, like on some prompt monitor type business.
Prompt monitor.
Okay. Come over
Right
here,
hand.
and can you raise your right hand, please? I state your full name.
I, Daniel Antonio Coley II,
Do solemnly promise to uphold the Constitution of the student government of Kennesaw State University
do solemnly promise to uphold the Constitution of the Student Government Association of Kennesaw State University,
and to faithfully execute the office of, state your office.
and to faithfully execute the office of Senator of Humanities and Social Sciences.
I pledge to represent the interests of the students over my own self-interest in matters concerning the organization.
I pledge to represent the interests of the students over my own self-interest in matters concerning the organization.
I will make every effort to be available to listen to the concerns of students and to respond to those concerns as I seek to carry out my duties.
I will make every effort to be available to listen to concerns of the students and to respond to those concerns as I seek to carry out my duties.
Congratulations, you can take your seat amongst the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well,
It's great to be back. I will be listening to everyone's speech.
All right, so now we'll be moving into announcements. This is the time for any audience members and senators to share any non-SGA related activities to the Senate. Keep in mind we have 4 minutes until the meeting is adjourned. So, Senator Coakley.
Senator Coakley, it's an SGA meeting, so it's that time of the week. If you happen to be black and an engineer, the National Society of Black Engineers has their conference coming up, and that's where you can get a job if you're a black engineer. You don't have to be black, but.
You do have to be an engineer, though.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Director Lopez.
Okay, as I said before, I am a college election engagement fellow, so I do work with election engagement and during events. Daniel actually had that position before too, so it's a very important position. I will be having a watch party on the 24th for primaries, so if an RSO that you are a part of wants to participate in that, please let me know. Also, if you're interested in participating in election engagement, I need a team. I need to start delegating activities because it's hard. Let me know.
JJ, how important is your vote?
Very.
Okay. Senator Wright,
Hey guys, this is my last chance to get to talk to you about Miracle because Dance Marathon is not this Saturday, but it's next Saturday, the 14th. So it starts at noon, ends at midnight. You don't have to stay the whole time. But I will say, I found out when our check presentation is because, you know, we've been raising money as a Senate, and it is going to be around 6 p.m. So it would look really, really awesome and really powerful and impactful if we got to go up there and present our check and get our picture in front of hundreds of people, you know, with there being more than just like 3 of us. So I would really love to see y'all show out. I can probably get us a discount code, so
Sign
I'll
up.
throw that. Yeah, that's it for the kids.
All right. Director Whitmire.
All right, so we have the all majors job and internship fair. So if you're any major, make sure to come out to the rec center at the on the 17th and 18th. We also have a suit up event. So if you want to get cheap clothes at JCPenney, that's on the 8th.
March 8th.
March 8th.
And it isn't cheap, but that's where I get all my business casual wear, and you know what I mean? I be out here looking, you know. Okay, so we have Senator Coley.
Senator for Humanities and Social Sciences, newly appointed. So it's really, really great to be back. So as you guys all know, voter registration is really important. If you missed your deadline to vote in Georgia, I'm really, really disappointed. But I hope that everyone here actually was registered early enough to vote in the primary. The primary is March 24th. I will hopefully be able to work with Director Lopez and her operations with SEEP, because it's really important that every single one of us is counted. Speaking of counting, the census is this year. Please keep reminding yourself that the census is this year, because every one of us, every single person in this room is an American, and we need to be counted, because counting each and every one of us makes sure that our district lines are drawn fairly and that everyone is represented clearly. Please, it's really, really important. If you have any questions about getting registered to vote or anything like that, please come see me or Director Lopez. Thank you. That's it.
Senator Oluwafemi.
Hi, Senator for International Students. I don't think a lot of people know, but on this campus, we actually have an office associated with the UN called CFAL through UNITAR. And currently, there are going to be talks going on around campus by the distinguished ambassadors. There's actually one in the audience, and her meeting is coming up March 18th. And by attending this meeting, you can actually find out how to get certified through the UN. There's actually one going on right now that's free, and it's road safety, and it's like a real certificate through the UN, and you can also find out about internships and things all over the world.
All right, thank you very much. Director Watkins.
As Senator Wright said that our dance marathon is on the 14th, that means y'all's $50 is due before the 14th. All right. Pardon?
Nah.
But all right, fine, that's cool. 11:59 a.m. on the 14th then.
No. We should have that money due the day before.
You're right.
You know, for the.
All right, the 13th for all this time.
Yeah, 11:59.
So 11:59 on the 13th. Y'all need them $50 in or it's a strike.
Unless you're new, then it's
if you're
25.
new, then it's 25. Yes, for the sick babies with cancer. Okay, come on now.
You could get.
They're super important. They're almost as important as voting. Okay.
They're up there with voting. They're up. SGA supports the sick babies. And Senator Coakley.
Senator for the College of Engineering and Technology. Just to hit back on the topic of voting, yes, the presidential preference primary is March 24th, but the Georgia state primary is May sometime, so you can vote for all the other stuff that matters, like your municipal seats and all that stuff. So
The stuff
get
that directly
out
affects
again.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff that matters probably more.
And Senator Martin to wrap us up for announcements.
Perfect. It's 9:01, and I move to adjourn this meeting.
All right. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Coley. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? This does pass. The meeting is adjourned.